Thank you, Gaurish, for welcoming me on the stage. So, hi everyone. So my story, I'll directly jump into what the story is. So it's about the time when we were facing the first wave of COVID-19 pandemic, and I was in Tigri doing my first client project with Colored Cow, and so we were very excited to work on first project, and the project kicked off, and we were presented very beautiful design elements in a file by the design team, and we were quite mesmerized with like the elements they put it in, the beauty the whole design file was giving up. We were quite excited to build those elements, and suddenly after 1 or 2 days the project started in the development phase, and with all the processes and methods we started working on it, and each of the elements were distributed among the team which was working on that, and we were all assigned which things we need to work on. So yeah, time passed by, we started working on it. The technology was completely new at that time for all of us, and I was very slow initially making the progress, and so were the other teammates of mine. So we started working on that, and days passed by, and we were working. One day the first page which always appears on a website became live, and everyone was very happy in the team that we shipped our couple of first items for that project, and we had an internal team meeting set up at that day, and everyone was praising the elements we built in, and all the things were looking very nice. So, and while I was working on those items in the backend, so I got to realize that the items which were given to me were quite simpler. They were challenging to me though, but they were quite simpler in their approach, and I was feeling like probably I am a bit slow on grasping the technology, so that's why I must have been assigned these simple items to work on. But when the things came live first day, my other two teammates, they had built very beautiful elements. They had very complex code in them. The feeling, the view which their pieces were giving, they were quite impressive. And under the vision of those impressive pieces, my deployed items were quite overshadowed. So I was feeling normal. There was nothing as usual. So my other two teammates were quite appreciated for the complex work, for the technicality they brought in, and I was on the other hand motivated to match their qualities and to buckle up my skills, to gear up myself, and to resonate with their speed. So I accepted the feedback and I moved on with that. I thought that things will come gradually to me, and I was technically I was a bit weak at that time, so I thought that okay, let's carry on with the hard work, let's do it with the full integrity, and we started working on that. So 15 to 20 days passed, and another project came in suddenly, and my two team members, which were quite technically skilled than me, they were moved to a different project on which they were working, and I was given the previous existing project which I mentioned to work on, and I was asked to undertake that from the development standpoint, and I was very happy. So I continued my work, and one fine day while I was working, my day got started, and suddenly our project manager called me up in a very intense voice. He asked me to come there. I went to him, and he was thoroughly navigating through the application, and he showed me like 20 to 25 defects in the website. So he was like, this is the work you are doing. I was mum at that time. I didn't know that these things, I was not aware of what's happening on that. That was my carelessness, I could say, at that time. I didn't do it as a whole. But the way he intensified the situation, I was a bit worried, and he asked me what should I show to the clients. They would be watching these kind of things, so what impression would go to them. And I was carefully observing the defects which he showed me, although it was very humiliating, like there were minute bugs and there were major bugs, but I was carefully observing, and I noticed a pattern that not even a single of those defects were being originated from the items which I built, although all of them were coming out from the items which the elite members of my team built on that day. So I was like, what? I was a bit confused, and I said, that's not my piece. So he said, should I say to client like, this is your piece or this is not his piece? Then how it would go? And I didn't have any answer to that. But I was that was very intense argument between he and me. I couldn't understand what he was saying at that time, what he tried to say. And I was not convinced enough to show up for those fixes. He asked me a simple question, whose project it is? And I didn't have any answer. I was quiet for that time, and I was wondering in my mind, is it mine? Or is it of the whole team who is involved? I mean, I'm the developer and I'm the equal shareholder in these kind of things, and so are the other ones. But for a very specific answer to that question, whose project it is, I didn't have any at that time. And in a deep frustration and in a deep sorrow, I went outside and I was like, all right. So though they were assigned to me, I was not convinced enough to show up like I should be doing those fixes. So fortunately at that time our workspace was on the top of a hill where we could feel the fresh air from the nature, and I went out vigorously breathing in and out, taking deep breaths to calm down the situation. And like I was disappointed and I was standing over a smooth cliff watching carefully around myself. Suddenly I noticed, like at the very end of a road, there were two people passing by, and I noticed they were doing something uncertain. I observed carefully what's going on there, and then I saw they were having two bags on their shoulders, and they were having a pair of tongs in their hands, and they were picking all the rags which were spread by people around, and they were picking up those rags and they were putting it in their bag. And I was looking carefully. I was thinking that wait, these people are not from this district. They are tourists, and why they are doing these kind of things? Why they are cleaning up the streets? Why they are cleaning up these kind of mess which they haven't spread? What will they gain out of it? And suddenly I just observed them. The whole street was clean. I saw the perspective, like this is a place which is belonging to a particular community, and these people are living here for a while, so it's their responsibility to to make this place clean, to live for themselves, and to change the perspective of this place hygiene for everyone. So I immediately, an idea stuck to my mind immediately, and I thought, isn't it the same situation with me? I was wondering, like, this is the same case. The project is of everyone. It's like a community, and the rags are the bugs. So if these guys who do not belong to this country can contribute in cleaning it up, so why should not I do that? Because that was my part. I was involved in that. So I immediately ran back to the workspace. I went to the project manager and I said that, okay, I understand what you were saying, and now by tomorrow morning you will get all the things fixed up. And I accepted that. I accepted that work, and I started working on that immediately. And when I started on that, we all know that success doesn't comes up easily, and so that happened in my case. When I went into the things, it was very hard to find out the defects from where they were coming, and suddenly I was like, I was very numb. I was very confused. Like who does things in that way? And they were, trust me, they were very complex, and they were like, it was very hard to find defects and fix them as compared to the time they were created. So I was struggling a bit. I took help from someone, but things didn't come out well, and he was also involved in other things. So I worked on it on my own. It was 2 at night in the workspace. I was in my room. The clock was ticking very silently. I could hear the clock beats, and I was looking at the clock, and it was 2. And I could have only fixed 4 or 5 elements at that time. And I was like, if this doesn't gets fixed by tomorrow morning, then what about my commitment? What about my showing up at that time? then with that motivation and thought, I just drive myself with full force, with full focus, and I didn't sleep that night. And in the morning, I almost by 10 o'clock when we had our regular meeting, I asked him to, like, these things are fixed and now we can ship it further. He tested them and everything was fixed at that time, and I was very happy, I was very proud, like, these kind of things are fixed. And he was also very happy, he appreciated me. And that day I realized, like, no matter how much technical you are, no matter how much skills you have, in the end what matters is, like, if you have the responsibility to show up for your things. And that day also I realized, like, skills may come with practice, like it came in my case. I was able to deal with them, but the attitude to show towards your things and to make things happen comes very rare. And that was the learning which I got at that time. And yes, I began working on that project from that day and started building it with the same spirit. And time passed by. Suddenly, like, the bits and pieces which we created on that day, they now represent sustainable development in India, which is powered by the Confederation of Indian Industries. And the way project grew up and the way I grew up with that project, I feel very proud of that. And yeah, to answer the very basic question of it is, like, whose project it is, it's always mine. It's always yours, to which you are working. So that was my story.